I'm Weston. I love talking about the Astros, and I'm here to talk about Game 46 of the regular season. The Astros lose 8-4 to the Texas Rangers, and now have lost the series, and they will try their best to salvage it tomorrow to at least take one of the three, which... There was a comment the other day, I believe it was by a user named ADI Music, which, side note, there are like 4 or 5 of you guys that comment on like every single video, and that means the world to me. And I just wanted to say thank you for those guys that comment on like every one of them, because I love keeping the conversation going about the Astros. Anyway, the comment was just, kind of trash talking the Rangers, saying, oh, time to go sweep them. And going into it, the Astros had won 8 of their past 10, I believe. The Rangers had lost like 8 of their last 10. Like, going into it, the Rangers were awful and the Astros were on fire. You had maybe one of the weakest teams going up against the hottest team in baseball. And I said, yeah, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't. Like, I'm not trying to sound cocky, but you look at them on paper, the Astros had every reason to not just win this series, but to sweep it. And granted, I don't like going into a series saying, oh, sweep or bust. I've never said that about any series. Even in 2019, when we were one of the best teams statistically in history going up against teams like the Orioles, I didn't go into it saying, you gotta sweep them or else it's a failure. Because the greatest teams in history don't win, 3 of 4. Like, if you were to win 3 out of every 4, I believe you'd break the record for most wins in a season. You would, because that'd be over 120 wins. So I don't expect that. But a series like this, with a team like the Rangers, who are pretty darn bad this season, you can't even win it, and you lose the first 2 games in embarrassing fashion, specifically by the hands of Garcia. Okay. Time to get into this. First, though, if you look right next to the trophy, I added the 2019 ring. That finally came. I was super excited about that. I will say, if you guys are curious, because, it's kind of hard to get good pictures of the giveaway rings, the 2019 giveaway ring is super, super high quality, and if you guys can get your hands on it, I highly recommend it. The giveaway ones from the Astros, fantastic. I think I got that one on eBay, so I highly recommend trying to get it if you can. Anyway, Lance McCullers Jr. gets the start for the Astros. I thought he had a pretty darn decent game, if I'm being completely honest, and I'll get into that in a moment. So, first inning, Altuve leads off with a single. Now he has a 16-game hitting streak going. That's fantastic for him. Brantley would then walk, and Bregman would single to load the bases for Yordan Alvarez. And at that exact moment, I said, if they don't get out of this inning with 2 runs, I'm going to be angry. Because it was bases loaded for one of your best hitters, no outs. Yordan would go into a fielder's choice, but Altuve would score to make it a 1-0. Now you have runners at the corners with 1 out. Yuli with a sac fly to make it 2-0, and we just barely scratched the 2-run thing that I said. And then Correa would single on a check swing, which is kind of funny, and Tucker hits it pretty darn well, kind of a rocket off his bat, but it was a fly out. And then the bottom half of the first, back-to-back walks. Not great start for Lance. So now you have 2 runners on, no outs, and you're already pretty deep into it. He then would actually come back. He would strike out Joey Gallo, or he would strike out a pair, then strike out Joey Gallo. But Maldonado drops strike 3, gets way past him, and now you have bases loaded, which is not great. And Lance McCullers at this moment has gotten his 3 outs, right? And man, oh man, his slider to the second hitter and to Joey Gallo, or the second strikeout and Joey Gallo, were just, my goodness gracious, it was nasty the way his slider was going today. And then, finally, he gets another strikeout to end the last guy, thankfully. Now, might I say, this might be the best McCullers inning I've seen in a very long time. And you might ask, Weston, how can you say that? He loaded the bases. The amount of resilience shown by Lance McCullers in this first inning to just keep battling and pounding the rock was incredible. 4 strikeouts, the first time the Astros have had 4 strikeouts since Ken Giles in 2016. And I believe it said the first scoreless inning with a pitcher throwing more than 40 for the Astros since like 1980-something. But Lance in this first inning, 40 pitches, gets 4 strikeouts, which is hilarious, and doesn't allow a run. One of the most resilient and tough efforts I've ever seen by Lance McCullers Jr., and I was very, very impressed with this inning by him. In the second, the Astros would get another run. Chas McCormick, leadoff home run, and then after that, 1, 2, 3, go Maldonado, Altuve, and Brantley. But Chas McCormick, cool, his third of the year. Put us up 3-0. At this point, you're starting to think maybe McCormick needs to be the starting center fielder. Fourth, the Astros would get an extra in the third, Lau singles, Garcia flies out, Gallo walks, a Davis pop out, and then Isaiah Kiner-Falefa doubles just past Alex Bregman's glove to make it a 3-2 game, and then Culberson would strike out to end the third. In the fourth, the Astros would get another run, Correa would walk, Tucker into a fielder's choice, Chas McCormick singles for his first multi-hit game of his career, so that's pretty cool for him. Maldonado would ground out, but Tucker would score to make it a 4-2 game, and then Altuve would fly out. In the fifth, Oldis Garcia hits a home run because he's been killing us. 4-3, not the only home run he'd hit tonight. Seventh inning, a meatball to Adoldis Garcia. This was just awful. Bad pitch to him right down the middle. 3-run shot. It's 6-4, and then after that, a massive error. I believe it was a Bregman throwing error would make it an 8-4 ball game, and the seventh inning was just an absolute nightmare for the Astros. This was really, really rough. Positive, in the eighth, Ryan Stenek had a great inning. 1, 2, 3, 15 pitches, pair of strikeouts, so that's great for him. And that was it. The Astros lost, right? 8-4. Which, games like this just leave you scratching your head. I didn't even mean to scratch my head to make a point there. But games like this just leave you frustrated. The Astros went into this series. And I genuinely thought to myself, like, there's no reason they shouldn't win this series. There's absolutely no reason. I think it's ridiculous to think they wouldn't. And I thought it was even fair to think, yeah, they could probably sweep the series, because they should. The Rangers, because even counting the last two games, the Rangers, even counting the last two, are 3-7. So before that, 1-8, and the Astros before that were 7-1. And they lost. They are now down 2-0 to them. We now are a full game back. If Oakland wins tonight, that would be, I believe, 2 games behind if Oakland wins, which would be awful. And this is just awful. This was bad. And I'm going to say a big part of this was Dusty Baker. I thought his bullpen management was pretty darn rough. I didn't like the fact that he left McCullers in there for the fifth. He was already at like 90-plus pitches and, had been totally taxed at that point. I didn't love that. I didn't love bringing in Scrub. I wasn't a fan of that, and leaving him in after that. Paredes has been very sporadic, and in a game you're still close in. I don't know why you didn't turn it over to Stanek then. And you might say, well, Weston Stanek's been bad. Yes, but Stanek has been good more this season than bad this season, and Scrub has been a whole lot worse than good this season, so I didn't love that move. Paredes, not Scrub. So this game, man, this was rough. This was a really, really rough game. Let's get into the pitching lines. 5 innings for Lance McCullers, 6 hits, 3 runs, 4 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Belak, 2/3 of an inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, and no strikeouts. That also is very confusing to me. Why do we pull Brandon Belak? Why? Andre Scrub, 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 2 runs, and a strikeout with no walks. Noli Paredes, 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit, 3 runs, none of them earned, 2 walks, and a strikeout. And Ryan Stanek, 1 inning of work, no hits, no walks, no runs, 2 strikeouts. Final thoughts. This game sucks. This is a really bad game. The Astros offense wasn't great. I thought the bullpen management by Dusty Baker was real bad. I don't like saying fire people, except for Adam Gase. I will always be happy that I chanted for firing Gase. But I don't want to say, fire Dusty, because I like Dusty Baker as a person, and that's what's tough, right? David Quinn, when I kind of wanted him fired during the season, it was still tough, because David Quinn, super nice guy, Dusty Baker seems like a super nice guy, seems super cool. But, man, oh man, this is just real bad management by Dusty Baker right now. And it's hard for you to say, you know what, I'm comfortable with him. I'm not. I would much rather turn the reins over to Joe Espada. And I don't know why the Astros haven't yet. It could be worse. We could have been the Baltimore Orioles today. They had a real fun game. They were up 6-1 at one point. And now they're losing 12-9. So, could be worse, I suppose. But this was rough. This is just a rough game for the Astros. So, we play tomorrow at 2:35. Christian Javier will be on the mound for us. He rocks in with a 3.27 ERA, and he will go up against Mike Foltynewski. Foltynewsk? Good Lord, that is a name. Who rolls in with a 5.18 ERA. Astros, you have to beat this guy. I'm sorry, but you absolutely have to win that game. And I'll be back here after that. So thank you all so very much for watching. Hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. And even in rough games like this, go Astros.